Good afternoon, Sanjay ji. What an amazing day we have had and an incredible start to the weekend.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our viewers and to you, Chandan. I think we are going to the space and beyond. So just the perfect takeoff for our podcast.
There's not many times in life that I have been lost for words, but what I saw today morning was truly emotional and I was truly lost for words. I want to just tell our viewers what you see behind me is a private Indian rocket right here, developed by a private Indian startup with complete indigenous technology that decided to wake up on a Saturday morning and launch this Indian diamond in the shape of a lotus into outer space. And it achieved payload insertion on the first attempt. It achieved max cruise into outer space on the first attempt. This Indian startup is one of one. It has never been done before on the first attempt. Payload insertion has been done on the first attempt. Achieving orbit and achieving space has been done on the first attempt. But combined with escape into space, this is a truly historical moment.
Congratulations, great summary, and I think it's a big day for the Indian space tech, deep tech, the complete Indian ecosystem. I think it's also for a long time ISRO was also blamed for a lot of things, thinking that it's a fuddy-duddy organization which doesn't do, while in reality it has really been doing, yeah, just like in any space exploration, there are ups and downs. But I think the fact that they created this organization in space and they brought in one of the best professionals I've ever worked with, Dr. Goenka, as the chairman. And then this whole,
Absolutely, absolutely,
yeah, and
absolutely.
then the whole wave of startups which has come in, it goes on to show the ambition, the scale, and the execution. So, of course, there are many startups of space who are doing all kinds of work, but I think today's hero for the day of the day, we should let the limelight be on Skyroot. So great job done by Pawan, Bharat, and the Skyroot team, which really ensured they may have the access to the technology, but they converted that ambition into execution because that's what it matters. So just as a ode to them, I brought out my Make in India cup. So here's to Skyroot and Vikram One lander for Make in India and made for not just for the world but for space and beyond. So cheers to that.
Cheers to that, and absolutely salute to them. There is so much to be said about the level of precision and execution that needs to occur to achieve what this Indian startup, completely Indian startup, has done from scratch. Yes, they stood on the shoulders of giants. ISRO has already made India a space power. You have to understand that when it comes to deployment of satellites into space, NASA depends on ISRO. Oh, Europe depends on ISRO. ISRO has shown capabilities far beyond their budget. Chandrayaan landing on the moon. But today's hero is, in fact, this rocket, Vikram 1, produced by a unicorn Indian startup, Skyroot. And absolutely, all the applause to them. Nothing, you cannot take away anything from them. They have reached the pinnacle of what a startup can achieve in such a
What a startup on their
yeah,
real day one looks like. So
day
of
one.
course it's a great success, but as they say, the journey has just begun. And I think
The journey.
the fact that also they curated a very well thought out set of payloads, it also goes to show that the thinking is much beyond just taking a set of standard payloads or the science experiments. So right from Vande Bharat, written on the postcard by PM Modi, is now in the space. You have Cosmoserve, which is actually going to reduce the is going to retrieve and reduce the debris floating around in the space. You have the Cosmic Bloom, Diamond Lotus. You have the our top three scientists' name written on an
On
element
a
which is
plaque. Yeah.
finer than a, grain of rice.
Right.
So it just and then of course a series of other scientific payloads. So it shows that this is a great beginning, but a core nucleus and the world or the space is really our place, our playground. And just this is just in 1 week, and in fact, just 2 3 days back, there was another announcement that there's another 15,000 crore investment plan announced, directed by Indian Air Force to look at what goes before the satellite and beyond the drone. So they are also capturing that. So I think
Right. Stratosphere. The
everyone likes
stratosphere.
to
Yeah.
really talk about the full spectrum coverage, but I think here we are seeing that full spectrum coverage happening in real time. So last week we talked about last week, and a couple of other times also we have talked about drones. And now here we are talking of 20-kilometer plus, and then we are talking about the space. So I think just perfect to say we are now in the doing a complete full spectrum stuff.
Yeah, full spectrum, and it's been such a busy week with so many things happening. You had the hydrogen train in launching in yesterday, which is another completely Indian indigenous technology. For a train, it puts India in a completely different and playing field where you have complete clean energy, sustainable traveling. You have the ability to get at masses from point A to point B with fuel efficiency that has never been seen before. It's you there are many great economies around the world who have tried and failed in hydrogen. Quite frankly, there's complete stagnation in Europe when it comes to hydrogen technology. And to see this success just yesterday or day before yesterday, and then in a short period of time sending diamonds and payloads to space by a startup is incredible. And it is all being supported by what's inside. And what's inside is our wonderful world of semiconductors and chips.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's how you take what you have, you build on the scale, and then you further move on the evolution and ensure that you keep doing a greater degree of indigenization, a greater degree of value addition, and you keep moving up. And that's where I think the last week's significant announcement of India Semicon Mission 2.0, as well as the mobile manufacturing scheme came in. And again, the previous ISM one was already at a significant number of almost 76,000 crore of support, and this one is even bigger. So now we have almost 127.5 lakh crores of ISM 2.0. And again, the critical aspect, as we talked of, that we are moving from just the fancy fab and going to the heart of the matter. That how do you
Right.
actually take, as PM Modi also talked of in Gujarat, that brick by brick, chip by chip, and now go inside chip, the component by component. So a lot of that support will come into the even the components which today we may be importing, but now you create that ecosystem and then you deliver it. And at the same time, once you create this ecosystem, the other part is the end product, and that's where the second part came in, which is the 62,500 crore of the mobile manufacturing MPMS
Right. Right.
scheme. And therein again, I think the good thing is in both the schemes, the thinking has also evolved. So now
Right.
we are not just saying, okay, we give you incentive, here's incentive, just produce. But the complete game is moving. Show us the indigenization, show us the value addition,
Right.
and you get a kicker.
Right.
So just in 2 weeks back, I tackled that question of everyone says screwdriver giri. But I think that screwdriver, if you're moving from 20 to 25% to 45 to 50% value addition, then that's innovation. And I think all
Um,
of that coming really makes a big difference.
it's beyond screwdriver giri right now because of the simple fact that you are creating jobs not just of assembly, you're creating jobs of value add. And what I saw in the past 1 week, I was surprised to see talent from around the world is now being recruited to come to India. Okay, you are
Absolutely.
you are attracting talent in from Europe and from North America to come to India. You just had Balaji over there talking about startups as well. You're recruiting talent from around the world to come to India to look at material sciences, to look at chip manufacturing, to be parts of those organizations. And you're no longer creating jobs where somebody is just putting A and B together. When you say 60,000 jobs, when we saw during PM Modiji's interview with those manufacturing workers, what the women and the men were talking about was not just that they are assembling things. They're talking about research. They're talking about innovation. There was a very moving moment when I saw one lady say she is the first from her constituency, from her part of India, the
Yeah.
first one to come and work in another state. And when she was asked what she will do, she was so excited to say, hey, what she is doing is beyond putting just A and B together. Yeah, she is deciding. She has a function. She has a role to play in the fab, which is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic to see. I think the number was close to 60,000 jobs.
So this is 60,000 job is only the direct estimate of with the new scheme coming in. And
Right,
then you'll have a lot of indirect jobs, which is there as well as down the line, all the complete ecosystem. And
right. The logistics, the
yeah, and to
the
put that in
support.
perspective, already India has close to about 300K just semiconductor guy engineers working here in India for all the best in class chips R&D across the globe. So if that is there, I think this is their call. If people from across the globe are coming in here, they just have to move to the ecosystem. So I think the choice is very clear. Either you can do more of the same in a large organization, or you take a deep dive into the deep end and make a difference. So I think this is also a clarion call for all the existing talent. And you have
Yeah.
semiconductors. Last time we talked of, you have Quantum Valley coming up. So the opportunities are really limitless.
Yeah, and these are limitless opportunities that were discussed when Goyalji and Jaishankarji came to Europe last week, and they were here in Spain, in Belgium, I believe in a couple of other countries as well. And there was a huge summit where they talked about. It was the third time, in fact, it was the EU India Trade and Technology Council that came.
Yeah, that was
That
the third TTC.
that was the third TTC, and what was fantastic to see is exactly what you were talking about a minute ago, where the best in class from around the world, the best talent from around the world is coming to India. They want to build in India for the world. And it was so exciting to see from the EU perspective. They were so excited to see what we can collaborate with and what we can and build together. Right from AI and technology and all these wonderful buzzwords that we talked about, all the way down to even food processing, all the way down to even old legacy agriculture. Yeah. How can we innovate together across the board? And how can we build together
Absolutely.
across the board?
Yeah, and I think EU is one of the good things I'm seeing is a lot of typically with no respect, disrespect to EU is seen as from a overall political and a bureaucratic perspective as a slow moving
Correct.
uh, uh, animal. But I think the pace which we are seeing, and just in Jan 2026, we had a great summit here around the Republic Day, and then we have had already few meetings in France and other places, and now three nations. I think the pace is building up already. Everyone is talking of it's just a matter of day before the scrubbing happens. And I think maybe one of the things is they realize while they are getting all of this, UK is off the table already. So on 15 July, India UK SETA finally went live, and I think on day one, uh, announcing 140 million of cargoes to be done, I think it will be possibly safe to say that the 100 billion target with both the leaders and countries have set by 2030 for trade. My sense is we will definitely overachieve those numbers.
Sanjay, nobody was waiting. The cargo was already on the sea.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
cargo. In fact, they were telling the shipping lines were being told, okay, one or two more days, take it easy. You will get to the ports. Take it easy. And they every
Wait for the photo op and the formal announcement. Yeah, which is fine because all obviously process also has to be followed.
true. And yeah. While yes, the historical perspective, you're absolutely right. The historical perspective has been, oh, the UK moves slowly, EU moves very slowly, India moves very slowly. But if you just take an overall macro picture of what is happening right now, you're seeing three absolute racehorses: India,
Absolutely.
UK, EU, just going for it. I forget racehorses. They are like spaceships right here, like this
Uh,
one, and
yeah.
absolute spaceships ready to hit it. Orbital
And I
insertions
think
and
there's
far
a
beyond.
two-way traffic. So I think the Indus route is no longer valid just on the land and the sea. It is actually intercontinental, which is following. Last week
Int-
you talked of the Indus route on the eastern side, and I think this time now we are seeing the traction on the western side. So great to see both legs of the Indus route coming in, and with Bharat and India right in the center.
Yeah, and more than intercontinental, I think the ambition is to go intergalactic. Like, you've seen in what's happening in with the British car industry, how much it has progressed with the help of Indian stewardship. You're seeing in a lot of collaboration with EVs, a lot of collaboration even in legacy industry like textiles.
Absolutely. So I think the good thing is a lot of this collaboration is two-way. So with most, like for India, UK, with most of the vast majority of the product and services now coming in nearly 0% tariff reduction, you're seeing from India, as you talked of, not just only the high tech, but relatively so-called mundane but very important for economy and employment. You will see a significant push of textile, leather, gems and jewelry, a lot of
Correct.
this coming in. And similarly, I think there'll be a reduction on prices of the UK cars. Everyone in India loves a nice scotch. There'll be a good price reduction on that. So I think there's
True.
a complete spectrum of coverage which is coming in. I think even uh, this is not just as you talked of very rightly, not just waiting for the SETA to come in. A lot of that investment had already happened beforehand. And like one of
Correct.
the things, big themes we have continuously been discussing is battery plus storage plus energy. I think
Oh,
just
yes,
last
big
week,
one, big one.
yeah,
Yes.
so just last week we saw, I think the formal financial filings came in, and Tata's Agratas has already been investing almost 40 million pounds over last two financial years for not just in the AESC as a
Right.
company, but also to own the IP. and that
Correct.
creates a very different mechanism. I think goes back to one of the previous points we were talking, that this is about innovation and this is about co-ownership of the future. So the fact
Correct.
that you're doing it and again spread already both ways. So 20 gigawatts in Sanand, 40 gigawatts in Somerset, UK.
Right.
So there is advantage, and the IP owners get an opportunity to do the innovation, and
Right.
both countries, both nodes grow.
This is a very, very important point. Respect for IP, respect for intellectual property. India has deep respect for intellectual property. India has amazing laws and amazing universal laws which they adhere to, uh, along with the EU, along with the UK. So when and multinational companies come to India, they are secure and they're safe in the knowledge that what their IP is being protected, and the new IP that is being developed is also protected. It's very easy to talk about XYZ achieved this in a couple of years, or XYZ did this is in just 15 years. But you have to understand that adhering to democratic principles, adhering to rule of law, adhering to different perspectives, allowing freedom of expression, this takes time. But when it comes together, like we are seeing now, that's when the magic is occurring. And we had the same thing being echoed from the EU about safe AI development, about using in this AI technology in a safe, measurable way. And they were surprised to see that, when India was set the challenge of net zero, India knows how to get to net zero fast and is getting there
Yeah.
faster than any other country, to be very honest with you. Uh, at the same time, India understands the responsibility of technology. The EU appreciates a partner that understands this responsibility in technology. And it was echoed time and again in Brussels, in Spain, in that it is incredible to see that the EU is working with a partner who respects IP, who respects safety and technology. And, you know, there's no greater power in this world than nuclear. And to understand that India understands the safety measures that needs to be put in place to establish new nuclear facilities and to maintain the current nuclear facilities, this automatically gives our partners and EU as a partner this sense of reliability. And we had some great nuclear announcements as well this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think last few times we've been talking of that the for clean energy, I think besides the renewables, one big focus for India is to take that current 8.8 gigawatts to 100 gigawatts. And it's not just there as a plan, but we are seeing execution coming in. So just that last week, we saw 28,000 crore of tender being floated for 4 into 700 megawatts, almost 2.8 gigawatt of nuclear uh, power coming up in Rajasthan. And the good thing is they're taking a new location, creating almost like a nuclear island, and the tender is unique because the tender actually looks at the end-to-end production. So right from actually EPC to construction to finally even the civil creation, and ultimately it will also lead to production of many of the components, which is what ends in doing the value addition and then also building the capabilities. So if you have to build almost 80, 90 gigawatts of new capability, here's this 2.8 gigawatts, get the guys to produce it. It's also great for the producers as well as the players, because they have a at one shot, they're not competing tender by tender. They have a long term view, right? So it's almost you have close to about $3 billion worth of $3 to $4 billion worth of clear visibility. And if that doesn't motivates players to go all in, then what else it will do? So you have
Right.
that as one axis, and then on the other hand, you're developing renewables. You have this clean energy. How will you store? And I think parallelly, I think it's like all wheels working together. We saw the Ministry of Heavy Industries come up with a tender and RFP for doing a gigawatt storage deals. And I think one thing which I saw, which is like really refreshing, we always speak about the scale has to be big. In this new tender, you're saying minimum talk of clusters of 1 gigawatts. If it is less than that, don't even talk about it, right? So it's saying, okay, there are a lot of lower things are building, but here's this tender, and here's again it's giving you. And the second aspect, 2 years, ensure 25% domestic value addition. By 5 years, ensure 40% domestic value addition. I think this is also a great message to the ecosystem and the platform players that there is an opportunity which is being created on an end-to-end basis. You are an energy player, you want to get into construction, you are a construction player, you want to get into the equipment
Right.
manufacturing, either you partner it, and I think that's where we are seeing some of the best we talked of last time, whether it's the US-based Holtec or France-based CFP, all of them are CDF, all of them are coming in because this is where the place will be.
Right. And that's one very important thing to tell, especially European companies, once the FTA is signed, that this is not just a India focused opportunity. You are welcome. In fact, we are happy to see as many European companies take advantage of these tenders, whether it be through direct investment, parallel ecosystem investments, or through JVs, whereby you can and directly access these tenders with Indian partners. It's very important to make this point that when just so that it's understood that battery, for example, a battery company from Poland can in fact look at this amazing opportunity and this amazing tender and say, let's find an Indian partner who has localized knowledge and let's establish an
Yeah.
entity
And
in
it's
India.
probably doing innovation at a fraction of cost. So let's
Correct.
do it and disrupt it. And especially with now Germany, France, and many of the EU countries who in between had stopped nuclear and
Right.
have now restarting. So I think one big engine is always, ultimately it's all about cost economics. And if the
Correct.
scale can give you that cost economics, then it is also an accelerator. So it's a two-way engine.
Correct. And India is here to provide you with the scale, gentlemen. Come and take advantage of this immense opportunity to build a lot of prosperity for humanity. Take advantage of this. We saw, of course, IKEA actually taking advantage of this. What a huge announcement by our favorite furniture company, IKEA.
Absolutely. So I think just maybe less than 2 months back, they had announced for the first time their design center, design and production center for the first time anywhere outside Europe and in India. And that was good because then you are designing in India for the world. I say, okay, that's good. But as because of all this growth which is happening, the domestic demand is blooming. They announced a 11,000 crore worth of investment plan. And I think again the unique thing which we saw, it was not just a store opening announcement. So
Correct.
you had from front end, which is you are actually doing those Inca signature stores. You had
Correct.
the middle end, which is actually they are going to have a GCC and innovation and operation center. And then you
Correct.
have the
Manufacturing.
design, which globally IKEA is known as design is their heart, right? So that's
Right.
already there. So the important
Right.
thing is you have a end-to-end presence, and I think that may be a great role model for various MNCs, where they don't have to choose between only playing in the front customer market or have at a back end a GCC or a innovation hub. I think it's a great role model that how if you decide to go whole hog, you have a play and a value addition available across the spectrum.
I mean, yeah, this is fantastic because if you look if you looked at the past and you looked at even a few years ago, you'd see so many products from India already in IKEA. But now when you go to IKEA, even in Poland, when you go to an IKEA, you see so many Indian products. And this is all being supported and, and by a wonderful ecosystem that is being created in India. And how do these products move from India to Europe? They move through the seas. And we had unbelievable announcements from Tata on shipbuilding this week.
Absolutely. I think last one whole quarter, we are really seeing ship and shipbuilding as a big major focus. And I think leveraging on some of the incentive schemes and the focus plans by Ministry of Shipping, we saw Tata speaking with the government of Kerala and planning for a 10,000 crore shipbuilding hub in Kerala. And I think
Um,
again, it's a integrated play because I think just 2 weeks back we talked of the Visakhapatnam port where Musk has already taken a strategic stake, which is just in the neighborhood. So you already have the world's biggest shipping liner container as coming in as a transshipment. You have the shipbuilding coming in. You also have parallelly, Musk has also started taking those EXIM containers. So you're saying
Correct.
from ship to container to actually transshipment coming in. So I think that's where if Indian companies can see it and are jumping on it, and international companies can see it, I think the big picture will be the ecosystem will develop.
That is in fact the big picture all the way from design to to manufacturing and beyond manufacturing to transportation and creating in prosperity not just for that single region but on a global level. Um, we we started off with space. We ended up in the seven seas. And I'd just like to mention one more thing about space just to wrap up our short podcast. If there's anything else you can add as well, Sanjay ji, but I'd like to also add it was another great week for our Indian origin astronaut Anil, who is on.
Menon, yeah,
Yes, he's on the International Space Station. And this week he went up using a Soyuz delivery vehicle. It was great to see NASA uh, 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 promote him to the level he is. Of course, has an Indian father. He is a Harvard, Stanford, and I believe Texas graduate. It was incredible to read about his journey as well. It's great to see not only an Indian startup up in space, but also to see another fellow Indian origin person and in on the ISS this week. So I'd like
absolutely.
to
I think
like
kudos to
to
him and all his family. So I think right from rockets to people. I think India's conquering the space one way or the other. And I think one of the great human angle stories I read was he got rejected for entrance to the program many times. I think he was the
yes.
one who was going to, he had mentally decided to give up. But I think with the support of all his family, friends, they asked him to do one more time, and I think finally he made it, and now he's in the space. I think that's on. We would like to end on that note. That yeah, we try to bring all of you as many. progress stories, as many breaking news stories. But just remember, all of them have gone through a lot of their hard work, and what we are
Right.
seeing is really the tip of the iceberg. So, to everyone who still is under production, or anyone who's even tried something and failed, I will go back to Chandan's favorite line: "The best is yet to come." So
The
don't let things go. And we would love to hear more and more positive developments finally coming in despite your struggles. And we look forward to covering as many of the wins as possible.
Yes, the journey is important, but the wins should be highlighted, and they serve as an inspiration. So once again, thank you everybody. Hey, this is Sanjay ji and me signing off from the Indus Blueprint. This is our ninth episode. Wow, we got to number nine. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a celebration for number for number 10. And
Yes, off to double digits and then to
after
the moon.
and to the moon. Great. Hey, Skyroad guys, congratulations. Applause to you from Poland. Applause to you from Poland. Thank you. You
Cheers
have
to Make in India, make for the world, and for the space and beyond.
you have made us all very proud today. Thank you, Skyroad. You have made us all very
Thank you,
proud.
everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Bye bye.